Hello everyone and welcome to the study of English. Today our topic is Lovely is Our Village, a poem written by Assamese writer Ajit Barua. This poem gives us a beautiful and deep picture of village life in Assam. It shows how the people, the plants, and the history of the land are all connected in a way that people living in cities might not understand. The poem is divided into two parts. The first part of the poem is about the beauty of simple things. It focuses on the sights and sounds of nature that bring the poet peace. The poet hears the swift rustle of rice, paddy, and the sounds of birds in local trees like jalpai and amara. For him, even a small white anthill near a bamboo clump becomes a source of joy. This shows that the poet finds happiness, even in a small things in the village, while city people often ignore such small things. He also remembers a bellmetal pitcher from his mother's dowry, still marked with jackfruit gum paste. This object is not just a household item, it carries family memory and tradition. The poet also gives a warning when he says that humans are tearing apart the sky we all share. This can be understood as a concern about pollution, climate change, and the crisis of nature. The second part of the poem is about work, learning, and history. It describes how villagers use the plants around them, and how the outside world affects even a small village. He describes splitting bamboo to make useful items like hand fans and sitting mats. He also mentions the sound of a hand cotton gin, a tool used to process cotton. Even in a remote village, history is present. The poet mentions a copper coin with George V, the King of England, on it, and the idea of Swaraj, self-rule or independence, showing that the village was affected by British colonization. In the past, village children learned to write the first letter of the alphabet, Ka, using the juice of the kahraj plant on banana leaves instead of paper. They also played games like Dafa and Nakha using large seeds called ghila. The poet feels sad about things that are disappearing, such as the imperial pigeon and the Mejankari silkworm, which produced a beautiful old gold-colored silk but may now be extinct. The poem concludes by saying that life in the village is about oneness with the environment. The poet feels a deep, spiritual connection to the universe, a feeling of inwardness that comes from being surrounded by nature rather than the busy, explosive commands of the modern world. He sees everything from the village poverty to all the languages of the world as his rightful inheritance. Now let's look at the themes. The poem explores the theme of oneness between the villagers and nature. The speaker doesn't just look at nature, he feels part of it. Second theme is the impact of the outside world. Even though the village seems isolated, it is not. The mention of George V and Swaraj shows that political changes and colonization affected even the most remote areas. Number 3. Environmental crisis. The poem uses the metaphor of the sky being torn into shreds to highlight the climate crisis. It contrasts the village lifestyle, which follows seasonal movements like the Muga silk moth cycle and human intervention that put the environment in danger. Number 4. Cosmic reality. At the end, the poet looks beyond the village to the bright universe. He describes a Lord of the universe, who is more powerful than gravity, and who cuts our time into pieces. This gives the poem a spiritual ending, showing that the small details of village life are actually part of a much larger, cosmic reality. Now let's see some important questions and answers from this poem.